Recording. Right, Eddie.
I'm recording.
Bring electricity. Come on.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 66. Route 66? Is that a place?
Click.
Road.
Yeah. Clickety click. Is that another one? A bingo?
Clickety click, 66. 66, two fat ladies? No, 88.
Idiots, the ladies,
88. Run to the Hills podcast. You may say, no, I am still on a massive post-gel come down 48 hours later. I haven't slept. All I can eat is beige foods. This is going to be electric.
I wonder how much sugar you took in over the 24 hours.
How much sugar did I take in? How much sugar did poor Bryn take in?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, anyway. Before we get all about me, which I know everybody is well excited about, how are you? Because it's not, I'm kind of done and I feel bad for that because I'm so relieved that I'm done. But you are now in Taper-tastic Valencia.
Is it? Yeah, Valencia.
How are you feeling?
Well, I had a cross country on Saturday and like most of the country woke up to some weather carnage from the first storm of the winter, and so I would have quite happily have had the Facebook update saying cross country's off, and that would have been a good argument for it. The roads, there's lots of trees down, but anyway, they got it on, which is fantastic. And for me, it was the first real test since COVID. I'd not pushed myself at all since then, and I'm probably a little bit reserved, but I had a good run. I had no adverse effects from it.
Did you have spikes on?
I did, yeah. First time with spikes.
How did that feel?
It was great. I normally, tight 3 knots gaffer tape, so they're not going to come off my feet. But there was some real good mud. It was brilliant. Normally, I run with me Envies. They came on the show quite a few months ago now, and when the ground's been hard, the Forest 2s have been a fantastic kind of fell shoe. But 100% trail spikes, and I had my big 15 mil spikes in.
Whoa, whoppers!
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Baby.
Akeley Heads is a good course. Classic cross country, some steep downs, some good ups, lots of sloppy mud, and also you remember this from when you did cross country in England. The senior men go last, so it's churned up big time by the time we get on the course.
For the big boys, it's ready for the big boys.
What I find amazing is, I start in the slow pack, so we go off first, and the fast pack runners, they just glide past you. It's
don't get me started on people that can run on terrible conditions.
Yeah. But I had a good run.
It's short of a picnic, I think, some of them.
But I had epic Reynards that kicked it big time, and I'm not shy to say if I was on my own, I think I could have cried. It was so painful. I couldn't take my shoes off, but Pete had to force them off for me. I couldn't move, and like I say, if I was on my own, I would have been a few tears would have came out.
And when the blood comes back in, is it just so painful?
Yeah, I was stupidly macho, short shorts, vest on, no gloves, anything. I know, gloves. Crazy, and it was pretty cold. And as soon as I finished, and I suppose the adrenaline, whatever it is, and then I put my gloves on, got a coat on and stuff. And then when everything started to warm up, the agony, it was really, really painful. I should know better. I do suffer with Reynards all year round, to be honest, if it's a bit chilly.
You need some gloves. No, please don't not wear gloves again.
But they make better photographs when you've got your...
Oh, you're not. You are, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh. That's stupid, I know. Well,
what's the weather like in Valencia?
Oh, wow, yeah. I did do I think it was, when I last checked, I think the forecast was light winds and about 17 degrees. And
no way!
Yeah, it cools down the evening. It gets down to about 5 degrees in the evening, but during the day, it's definitely, maybe, I'm not going to be picky after running the cross country in horrendously cold conditions and snow. It's probably a little bit warm, but it's going to be great. I can't wait.
What time? It start like 9 o'clock?
Oh, I haven't checked that out yet.
Oh,
I'll check that out when I'm actually.
Oh yeah, night before is fine.
But there's so much admin still. I talked to you before we recorded that it used to be a lateral flow on the way when I come back to England. Now it's a PCR test. So the medical companies are making a bit more money out of me. And yeah, so I think because of my having COVID previously, I probably will have to self-isolate, because even though I'm negative, I think with the natural immunity I've got at the moment, apparently I will test positive. So I'll probably be isolating again for 10 days. But luckily I've got my what do you call it? My smart trainer. What's it called again? A turbo trainer. That's it. Yeah. And I need to buy.
All about that.
I need to buy. This is really boring, people, but tool to get a cassette off a wheel.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you do.
God,
yeah, there is way you can do it without the tool, or you just get another wheel.
I should have bought a cassette. To be fair, they're not crazy money.
I just bought a new cassette because it's just too much for me.
If I have to stay in for 10 days at least, mind you, after your marathon, I won't really.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's not a bad time. Tapering, so cross country was probably a little bit too much. I think it had 30 minutes in threshold pace. So I was about 45 minutes, I think, on cross country. So a little bit too much, but not crazy. But generally, yeah, the mileage is down quite a bit. And what that does do is give you tons more time on your hands. It's amazing. A little bit more time in bed. Rex is not so happy about his runs being a bit shorter. But I did pop up on my YouTube channel, the Outdoor POV. I did a little taper tips. I thought, yeah, I was quite mindful. I'm struggling with content for that YouTube channel, having time. And I don't want it to be just a kind of indulgent vlog about me. So I've thought, well, if I can think of things of value to say, then that's what I'll do. So yeah, I've done a tapering one, and nothing radical. It's more sleep, don't eat anything silly, simplify your carbohydrates, don't eat sugary foods, stuff like that. And then next week I'll probably do a recovery one too. So I don't. You
could do all sorts next week if you're locked in the house.
Yeah.
How to fill your 10-day self-isolation.
So yeah, okay. pop over to YouTube if you want to check out that. But yeah, really mindful. You do get, I'm not criticizing, it's just not for me, but you do get these like how I trained for this, how me. It's all very me. And I don't want it to be that. I think I should.
Yeah, not like this podcast, hey, Gary? No.
But I think about 50 odd miles for the week.
That's still quite a bit.
That's on the plan. It's on my taper. Trust it, see, whatever you've been doing, trust it, because it's got you to where you are now. And so yeah, about 50 odd miles. I think this week's about 30 miles, then plus the marathon. But I'll stop running on Wednesday because for Thursday. So Friday, Saturday we'll be traveling. But that is that. And what is really good, my achy 48-year-old left hamstring isn't aching so much. And that was a real concern in the cross country. Wow, Eddie, I'm just off on one, aren't I, again? I'm just like,
keep going. I'm loving it.
I was really worried with cross country because you stand around cold, I do a little bit of a warm up, kind of last minute toilet, bit of admin, and then bang, you're off, freezing cold, running all out. And yeah, no negative effects on my hamstring from the cross country, which is, you've got a slippy, slidey, muddy.
It's good.
It's going on all over the place, up and down. So yeah, that feels good, and I think that's it, enough from me. But normally I'd ask you what you've been up to, Eddie, but we've got
not much, Gavin.
Not a lot. You did ghost me a bit on WhatsApp. I was thinking, where's Eddie?
I honestly, we'll learn all about it, but you know what it's like. Oh, you feel you've lost a chunk of your life. Well, I put myself in a big hole. Yay. To come back out of it.
Well, yeah, normally, like I say, I'd to chat with Eddie about what she did, but we thought it was such an epic journey. We'll have Eddie as this week's guest on the show, listeners. So
I made it. Oh, yeah. But before you have to listen to me go on and on about the snow and the cold and the ice, we caught up with Liv Mulligan, who came on the show. Oh, it must have been a couple of months ago now. And during the show, we joked about her writing a poem called Strava Palava. And do you know what? A few weeks later, she contacted us and said, I've written you the poem Run to the Hills podcast, Strava Palava. So we have a quick catch up with Liv, and we are so thrilled to have her reading I'd like to say our poem. Do you think we could? We could, couldn't we, Gary?
Or
Our
you were
poem.
the genesis of it.
Well, I didn't want to say that. I was sharing it, but it was my idea. Here is Liv Mulligan with Strava Palava. Talk a little bit about Strava Palava.
Yes, inspired by your fine self.
Profit. Let's talk about Strava before you read it to us, maybe, and our love-hate relationship with Strava.
Yeah.
You said did you try it, Olivia, and then you didn't like it?
I didn't even get that far.
Oh.
So maybe from the poem you'd think I did. But I feel I know enough about it to know.
Yeah, for sure.
I know myself.
Yes. And it's funny that people like you, that I hear that people go, no, they're like quite adamant. No, I'm not going there because if I open that door, it's carnage.
I think,
yeah.
I feel it's brilliant for some people for that motivation, and people that maybe can see the fun in it all. I know I wish I was like that, but I'm not.
And well, why would you wish you were like that?
Just maybe a bit more light-hearted with it.
Yes, if you could use it for when like you feel like it, or you could see that it is just a tool. It could just be an information gathering tool rather than a negative.
I used to get drawn into I said to Eddie before we start recording, they used to have these monthly challenges, and it could be elevation or mileage. And you'd find yourself, you'd come in at night, you'd done crazy amounts of miles anyway, and then you'd come in and somebody had gone out for a run, so you were second on the league, and then you'd find yourself going out at 9 o'clock at night just to get more miles in. It was totally against your training and stuff like that. But yeah, for me, I think I said in the email I sent back, my relationship with Strava is much healthier these days.
Anyway.
I was going to ask you, sorry, Olivia, before we get into the poem, your Thirsk running club, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's the Thirsk 10K. Do they do any other races, or is it just the 10K that you organise? 10 miles, sorry, isn't it?
I was going to say, I know there's a 10-mile one. I believe that's the only ones they organise, other than they host one of the cross countries as well, that we do in the league. But yeah, it's funny that this 10-mile over the last few years that I maybe would have really wanted to do it and lived in this area. Yeah. I've had a problem or been on holiday every single time. I've never myself done it. One day I'd love to.
I've done it a couple of times. It's great, like marathon prep. And what's weird, I always, I'm not a geologist, but I think it's really weird. You go one side of the A19 and you've got the moors and all that landscape. Then you cross the A19 and Thirsk is pretty flat. It's like no hills this side of the road. But yeah, if you're anyone who's local-ish and you want a quick run in the springtime, Thirsk 10 milers, lovely finish at the race course too, Eddie. It's nice.
Thanks for that little promotion there.
Liv, would you read to us Strava Palava? Well, just before you read it, how easy was it to write? What was the sort of creative process?
Probably not too different from how it usually is when I write something. There was definite inspiration on this topic. I mean, not all my poems are running related, but the few that are, I really get into, because running is such a huge part of my life. And I feel that, yes, this was quite personal on my opinion of data and Strava, but that chat I had with you guys as well, just maybe knowing that it might speak to a few others as well. And even though I've never, like I said, it's a bit fictional because I've never myself downloaded the app, but I know what it's about, and I know I have a watch that tells me certain things, and I know that even from that can just rub me up the wrong way sometimes. You know, I'm trying, I'm tired, need a rest, for example, and my watch is telling me to move. I think that's so rude. It's so rude. So
turn that off instantly.
Yeah, I'll turn mine off.
yeah.
Used to drive me
Anyway,
nuts.
here we go. It's called the Strava Palava. Naive me, age 23, downloaded an app called Strava. With good intention, it forgot to mention the guaranteed Strava Palava. Apparently, we enter this world to create a competitive saga. Train through the pain, reap the gains. Each session you're running harder. But someone smashed your hill rep. You haven't peaked since last July. The Strava Palava has done it again, and you're left there asking, why? What could have been a grand old day was ruined by a notification. My updates show that I'm getting slow. I have no determination. Actually, I'm quite determined to stay away from so much data. It's time to take a technology break, so Strava, see you later. But everybody has Strava, so how could I just get rid? If it wasn't on Strava, it didn't happen. Well, actually, it did.
Hey, that's fantastic.
It was better the second time.
Back of the net.
Smashed it. Yeah, my goodness me. But for someone who, like you said, hasn't actually got the app, you've got Strava pretty well.
I've got a lot of friends that have got it. A friend told me a really funny story about it, to be honest, that apparently you have to set, don't you, whether you're doing the bike or running or
Yes.
whatever. And she'd put bike. No, she'd put run.
I know where this is going.
Run for bike by accident, apparently. And just absolutely killed everyone's certain hill section.
Yeah.
And people get so angry.
Yeah, she had
flag.
Yeah. I thought that was the best thing ever.
Thank you so much for coming on to read that.
No, not.
I'm going to have to think of your next book. Is there a theme on the next book?
There is.
Is it a secret?
I'm going to keep this one a secret.
Yes. Okay. You said, instantly I said it, you went. Because
I know it will be then fun to reveal it when I'm ready and it's finished. But I've actually not. I've started the whole secret thing, so I feel I've got to keep it up.
Yes, do. I like that.
But it's not as fun. Like I feel that the last one, because I was telling people the idea of advice from a stranger and everyone was really excited about it. Yeah. It was then quite a good motivation to keep writing it because everyone really liked the idea. Yeah. So it's maybe a bit more of a lonely process, keeping it all to myself. But
then you've got nothing else coming in as well. So maybe it's quite good that it's all, no one else's opinion. It's just you.
That's true. Yeah.
I've got another idea for a poem. So I'm thinking something on the long run rambles of your thought process of like when you start the long run, you've got to do a long run. This is because I've got to do one tonight. And I'm like going through I hate it. It's so far. I can't do it. It's too far. Oh no, I'm not going to do it. It's raining. And then you get into it. And then about halfway, especially when you're as old as Gary and I, you feel better. And then you love it. And then you come back home and you're refreshed and you think that was amazing. I want to do that again.
How long is long run for you? Or we're not allowed to say?
Oh, 3 hours.
Yeah,
would you say
3 hours?
2 to 3 hours. 2 hours, this doesn't bother me. It's over 2 hours that I have to start buckling down, Eddie, doing the seatbelt up.
They're very slow long runs.
You prefer a long run with lots of different sections to it? Or does that make it seem longer because then you're like, oh, another section? But sometimes if you've got many sections, it can keep you amused.
It depends, doesn't it? Yeah. And then I have the sections I dread. And I'm like, oh no, it's coming. It is a really steep bit or the really boring track bit. And then I got that bit. But I do like to section my long runs, but it's really snowy here. It's snowy, rainy. So I haven't really got a great deal of options of where I'm going to do. So it's going to be laps.
And do you have gates where you are? Do you have to go through many gates?
Just electric, scary lines that they put across the track that you can't see. And you'll feel them as you run into them, and you.
Oh my goodness!
The mountain bikers have terrible accidents because they bike straight into them because you can't see them. But there's nothing at the moment because the cows have all gone. gone down the hill, as we tell the kids.
Oh, and are you going to be listening to anything or just your mind?
This podcast, 24 hours a day.
I try to do a bit of both. Do you? I try and do like a bit of silence because I think it's an important ultra training just to be silent and listen to what's going on in your head.
Well, I need a podcast. I don't
All
like
the time?
music. Yeah, pretty much. Unless I'm with somebody, that'd be really rude. But yeah, every run. You know what? I after it's funny this, huh? After Lake 100, I was damaged from running, so I needed a distraction basically, and that was where I turned to podcasts, and I've never turned them off since. No music, just always chat. I like chat.
Do you like podcasts, Olivia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some awful ones, and then, but
I feel sensitive now.
this is a great one.
This
I mean, it's in the top
5%.
Yeah.
5%.
I'm looking. I need some new ones. I need some new ones that because I quite like a non-running related one as well. I'll listen to one running related one, and then I don't want to listen to another one. I need
Got any
some.
got any podcast tips, Olivia?
Podcast tips. All my ones are very similar of kind of that motivation of not running, if that makes sense.
Okay.
At the minute, and like looking after yourself, a lot of and I love Fern Cotton's Happy Place.
Oh yeah. Is she
brilliant.
doing that at the moment? I haven't had that.
Yeah.
She is. Oh well, I haven't listened to that for ages.
The best one I've ever listened to on that is the Saran Jones episode. So that's a recommendation.
Oh,
That name rings a bell. Where would I recognise her from?
She used to be, her very first gig was in Corrie. And then she's gone on to lots of really successful dramas.
Yeah.
I'm downloading it now.
I'm trying to think what my non-running podcasts are. Adam Buxton, I really enjoy his podcast. He's definitely probably in the top 1%, Adam Buxton. And oh wow, this is not one that you played.
I like the Adam Buxton one too. Sorry, I was downloading the thing.
And then you can't play this one with the kids in the car, but Bob Mortimer's Athletico Mints podcast. Yeah, I think you've got to have a quiet taste, and definitely it's not child friendly. Put it that way. it's really.
Have you listened to the Adam Buxton one, Livia?
No.
I think you'd like it. If you choose ones of like, I listened to his one with Robbie Williams. It's amusing. He's really funny, but he does get out quite a lot of good stuff out of people.
Cool.
And it's very good, easy, but good listening.
Yeah.
Even my teenage daughter, I listened to one just the other day, and it was just playing in the kitchen when I was washing up, and even my teenage daughter was laughing at this anecdote his guests shared. It was really funny. Lots of swearing again.
Yeah, it's just so much swear. I have them on, and then I'm like, there's nothing. I'm like, kid. Right. Thank you so much, Livia, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Keep us posted on the book.
And let me write down in my notes, as she's writing it down now, the long run.
Yeah.
I might I love it. I love it. I need to because I haven't read your books. I guess if I bought them off Amazon, they'd ship them to France, wouldn't they?
I believe they're available worldwide.
Well, shall I test this theory?
Try it, yes.
Try it, because that would make my day. Especially if next time we spoke, I had your book propped up behind me like they do on the BBC. Casually. Well thumbed.
Yeah.
Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you. I'll let you know.
And hopefully,
good luck with your long run.
Pray for me.
Pray for Eddie. Hopefully, I'll see you for some coffee and eggs sometime soon.
Yeah, I hope so.
You take care.
Take care, Liv. Bye.
Bye. I love that, Eddie. An inspired poem from my co-host. Wonderful that, and just a bit of culture
We fit a culture into our lives, Gary.
I love it. Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, listeners, what you've all been waiting for, the myth and the legend, Eddie Sutton is going to take us through how many miles exactly was it?
Oh, I haven't actually looked. It was so many. I stopped looking, and I had that terrible bit. Do you do this? I when I get to the end of the race, I like kid myself that there's like only 8K when there's like 15, because I'm like, the last few don't count, last 5 don't count.
Yeah.
And then they started putting signs up with like 15 to go, and I'd been telling myself like, there's only like 9, there's only like 9, and I was like, you take that sign down, don't tell me that. I reckon it was about it was just under 160K. With about 5,000 meters of elevation in at the end, so it was a long way.
In meters, what's that in?
Oh, so that's about 15,000 feet, maybe a bit. Maybe a bit more, 16,000. Well,
so it's not quite Lake 100, is it? I'm just
16, just under that. It's very rolling. There's a couple of longer climbs, but a lot of.
I love the profile. It was just like. Oh.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool route, and I try to tell people about so it's one of the most famous trail races. The SaintéLyon is the oldest trail race in France, and the 78K is sort of the most famous one, which I did 5 years ago when we first came here. 6 years ago, it was like my first French trail race experience. And you get bus to the start from Lyon to Saint-Étienne, which is obviously about 80K away. And then you start at midnight. And it's huge, and it's this well-known route. There's rumor has it, but we couldn't actually find any details about it, that it was a raid. The villagers of Saint-Étienne, was now a big town, raided Lyon, and they went on this route overnight, which is why it started at midnight, and always on this same date. You come say hello. Lindy's just
hello.
And so it's always on the same date, the first weekend, last weekend of November, wherever the weekend falls. And it's huge. I think there were 16,000 people did the race, but now they have various different distances in the race. Again, we'll talk about that. But the 78K is the biggest one, and they close all the roads, so you do lots of road crossings. And then there's quite a bit of road to get into Lyon at the end, and everything is closed. And out on the route, though you go up in the hills, like in the middle of nowhere, people are up there with like generators, discos, fires, disco. It is mind blowing, especially if you decide you're going to do the double, and it's like 70 miles into, I'll talk in miles and feet now, into the race, and someone's like suddenly appears out of a blizzard dressed as a dinosaur, and like disco, and you're like, what on earth?
And when you did it the first time, how was your French? I always felt a bit, when I've done international races, it's always been brilliant, but a bit lonely because my Finnish is rubbish.
Yeah, I found, so on the way there, so there were 150 of us doing the double. And so we met in Lyon. It was starting at 9 o'clock on the Saturday morning. So, it starts in this big hangar, I suppose it's like an exhibition center.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they have the finish inside, which is really cool.
I like
this
that.
Big lighted, lit up arch. So we started there at 9 o'clock on Saturday. About 100, I think it was like 150-ish. And then, we went out. And so obviously within like the first 20K, I was with people chatting, and they don't mark the route on the way out.
Yeah. Okay.
So they send you the GPX, but there's lots of little paths. It's a bit like, if anyone's ever done the Centurion Chiltern Wonderland 50, they just linked a whole load of footpaths together. So it was fine because it's on my watch, but every so often you'd be in the woods and there'd be like 3 or 4 tracks, and you'd be like, and as you went, and normally you could turn around and see the signs going the other way that you're going to come back.
Okay. Yeah.
But very occasionally they weren't them. And then if I was on my own, I'd run up on it. And of course, you're doing that far. Even like, I think I did like a kilometer extra on the way out because I just wasn't sure I was on the right track. So I ran out and I was like, I haven't seen a sign. I can't see anybody ahead of me. Nearly always through the trees, I would be able to see somebody ahead of me. Or someone, if I slowed down, someone would appear on the way out. But yeah, the first 20-ish K, there was company. and there was French spoken. And then the last 15K I ran with my new three French mates. We'll talk about that later. And so that was great because we had to run into Saint-Étienne through a housing estate and there was no signs, nothing in the snow. So that was quite tricky. But then on the way back, there is 1,400 people on the track. So you were never, ever alone.
Yeah, that's
they
interesting.
are right next to you in your grill the whole way.
So is it similar to the Little 100 then so you'd start early? And then the people maybe...
Yeah, so we started at 9. So it's a really weird format of which I didn't even understand. I did the race until someone explained it as a running. So you start at 9 and you run to Saint-Étienne. It doesn't have all the checkpoints open. So there's only checkpoints every 20K, which is tough because... That is a big gap, yeah. You get the bit up in the hills takes quite a long time, it was about 22K. And I was really lucky that Bryn found me on a road crossing and swapped my bottles because I drank like 4 bottles in that. That was about a 3-hour stint. And so I was like, God, I'm so lucky because I'd have been so dehydrated. So that we ran from Lyon to Saint-Étienne, and basically you then get to Saint-Étienne and you wait and you start with the 14,000 people coming back the other way. Cool. So you kind of want to get to Saint-Étienne in the best shape you can because you've got to then turn around and come back. Yeah. But you want to get there quick enough that you've got time to eat, digest a meal, have a little sleep. We were told there's showers and there wasn't. So I just... I just embraced it, Gaza. And I just stripped off and I put fresh kit on. Yeah. I don't really care. So yeah, you have to get there in good shape, but you want to get there. So I reckon I got there about 6-ish. Okay. So I had until about 10:30 to gather my thoughts.
Oh, is that like going again? You've had a few hours to...
Well, the way I mentally handled it was they were 2 separate races. So on the way out, I did not think about anything. I'm really proud of myself for the mental way I handled this terrible experience. But I just worked from the checkpoint to the checkpoint. So the first check, we started off 20K and 600 meters in that first 20K. As we climbed out of Lyon, I was just like, just get to the first checkpoint, not having broken a sweat. Nice and easy, Eddie. Nice and easy. So I did that. And then, I just took each checkpoint as I went, just kept trying to eat, drink, take a gel, repeat. I didn't listen to any music. I didn't listen to anything because I was like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to try and literally keep jogging and save everything through back. Try not to use any mental energies, anything. I tried to run up shorter climbs, but anything I felt that was requiring glute activation, I'd switched to a hike. So I really tried to get myself into good shape, in the best shape. And I actually, my going leg there, it was really, really good. Felt really strong. I honestly didn't feel tired once. I didn't have any mental lows, and I was like, I felt really good. And I got to about, I did run a lot by myself, which is hard, especially when you don't know where you're going, and to keep moving. Well,
150 people over that distance.
It's not a lot, is it? It's not a lot. But then I did meet up with, I think it must have been the last checkpoint, 20K to go. And I went the wrong way out the checkpoint. And it's a really great race, but we're obviously small fry because they're setting up for this huge race that's coming back later. So we'd get into checkpoints and they'd be like, deuxième fille, allez. But then they'd come out the checkpoint and I'd be like, I don't know where to go. Where do I go? Yeah. And I'd start running up the wrong path. Whereas as soon as we came back, obviously the paths were all lined out of checkpoints but we could get to, because there were so few of us in the checkpoint, I was in and out, slick drills. Last 20K, I met 3 French guys, came along and were running quicker than me. And I was like, I got on into that kind of like bit of a plod, bit of a trudge, Gary, bit of a trudge.
Yeah, I like it.
Bit of a trudge. And I was like, I'm going to lock into this. It's a little bit quicker. I was probably running at like 8:30, 9-minute mile pace. And they were 8:15. And I was like, I'm going to lock into this now. And we chatted away. They were really nice. And I sort of followed them on, and then we technical little bit of descent, and they were, and I was like, I can't. Whoa there. And then I could just see and then the head torches were coming on, and I could see their lights just ahead. They were already just like, just that minute, that glimpse around the corner, and they'd gone. And then it was really complicated to get into Saint-Étienne, and I started catching them. And so then I probably put my foot on the gas a little bit, but I was like, I also just let's just get this done. I've been going all day. And so I overtook them, and then the bigger guy, I can't remember his name. We tacked it into Saint-Étienne, which was really good because it was really hard to tell. The snow started falling with the head torches, kind of like, I reckon it was like 9 hours of running, traffic. You've been out with nothing all day, and suddenly like there's loads of traffic, it's dark, it's snowing, drivers aren't expecting runners to just suddenly appear and to be a bit like reactions, and we're like, where the hell is this finish? Anyway, got to the finish, seen Bryn about 3 times, and he'd kind of like, we'd planned it, that was like, well, that was kind of a recce, I need you more on the way back. I can kind of be fine on the way there, I know I'll be fine, but it'd be better for you to know where you're going in the dark, because I was nervous. So I was like, the last 100 I did it without any support.
Yeah.
But I knew how hard that last 25 miles was. And I knew that that's where I fell apart, because I'd run out of energy, and I lost the mental. I didn't lose the mental strength because I kept moving, but I knew that I could go faster, but I just couldn't get the brain and the body to click. And so it was like a bit like, I don't know how I'm going to do that on the way back. But anyway, so I was like, I'm really important. I see you at those checkpoints, and you're like, eat, drink, rave, repeat, eat, drink, rave, repeat. So I got into this big warehouse, and of course all the French there chatting, and I was just like, whoa, what is going on? I am more tired than I think I am. Yeah. And I get the like the shakes, the hypothermic slight shakes, and I couldn't stop. And I was like, Bryn was like trying to get me soup, and it was like coming out of the cup. And I was like, oh my God, I can't control myself, And they'd said there were showers, and there wasn't showers, which would have made a big difference. So I literally just stood in this big hall. Very few women, obviously, as per. And I think I was 15th overall on the way in, and so there's not many people there. It was huge, like the size of like 4 basketball courts, and they put out like all these yoga mats for us to sleep on. I was like, I'm just taking all my clothes off. I don't care, I've had 3 children, so I just took my clothes off, got changed, and then this woman did come up, and she said, do you need to go and see the médecin? Do you need the doctor? Because I was like, and I was like, oh my God, no, because if they see me like this, then they're going to be like, you're out. So I was like, no, I'm fine. And then we went to get the meal, and so then you have to wait there then till 11:30 is the start of the race. We went to get the meal, and we like lifted off the metal lids, and the first one was lentils. I was like, oh God, why would you eat lentils? Next one was chickpeas. I was like, oh my God, I can't Bryn. And I started getting that like I'm an 11-year-old again when I'm really hungry. Then there was bolognese, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to eat? There was like some sausages on. Anyway, they did appear with like this dried together pasta. Yeah. So I just ate off a polythene tray this stuck together pasta, no sauce, nothing. Oh, wow. And Bryn was like, do you want to, we bought tea bags and milk, but they wouldn't let us have hot water. They had this like lemon tea, which was horrible, but I was like, I'll just drink this. It was a low point when I was like dried together pasta and lemon tea. This is not what I've been looking forward to all day. You just wanted you'd fatigued, and you wanted to be right. And it's so hard because anything can knock you, because you are in a very low mental state. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to go back out there now. And they were saying over the announcement, the snow's here, the snow's come. And I was trying not to listen to it and be like, it's fine. We didn't even go outside. So anyway, I ate the pasta. I did my first wee of the day. Terrible. Oh, wow. Oh my God. This is so bad. I was so dehydrated. So I downed the electrolytes. I just kept drinking. And then Bryn brought out a sleeping bag. Well, I mean, where he got that, I don't know. But he said, I've got a sleeping bag for you. So I did actually. I got in the sleeping bag, in all my running kit ready to go. Yeah. And I slept for about 40 minutes probably.
Brilliant.
Proper deep sleep. I just like literally went straight to sleep. And then I woke up and I felt much better. I felt like, okay. When I came in, I thought, I don't know how I'm going to do that again. Yeah. But within like 2 hours, I was like, okay, Eddie, you've got to do it. You can't not do it now.
Yeah.
So all the time inside, I was like, I really don't want to do this. Why am I doing this? And everyone, I was watching everyone put kit on, and I was like, oh my God, everyone like jackets, and I was like,
I was thinking of you because we had rotten weather, and it was a northerly wind. I'm thinking, God, is that going to go down to? How fast is that going to move down to France?
Oh Lord! Anyway, I set my alarm for 10:30. I was like, I'm not going to do any kit admin or anything until 10:30, and it gives me an hour to like get moving, go to the loo a couple of times, have some fig rolls. Again, Bryn, what a legend! He went and got me some more of the yellow piss tea. Sorry, and then he brought out a packet of fig rolls. I mean, honestly, what a champ. So I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to pack up. I've got to go. And I just like, I don't know, I'm so warm in my sleeping bag. So packed up, gave the bag to Bryn, and we said goodbye like it was what is the film, Independence Day?
Oh goodness me.
It was like, I was like, bye. And he was like, I'm not sure where I'm going to see you because it's going to be tricky on the roads. And I was like, I know. I was like, just if I see you, I see you. But if not, I'll see you.
Like a Hollywood movie, this is.
And so then off we went outside. And like the minute we went outside, it was just pelting with snow. It wasn't too cold, actually. The one thing I was really dreading was standing at the start for 15 minutes, getting my hypothermic shakes.
Yeah.
But actually, there were so many people, I just like nestled in. And I was about fourth line back with 1,600 people behind me. And I was like, none of those people have just run 50 miles. And when they start this race, am I going to survive the stampede? And I was like, the anxiety of like, oh, my hamstring's going to take this start because I'm not even sure I can run. So I tried like on the spot, I was like trying to get my legs moving. Fortunately, I think the start changed a bit from when I did it, just the 80K. And it keeps you on the road for a little bit. So there's a long 6K uphill, which actually is really good if you're just warming up, because it sort of takes it gets you to change your muscles and stuff, and you can do a bit of walking, a bit of hiking. And so
you're mindful of the other people in the other ladies that you were competing against?
I saw the other girl that was, I think on the leg there, she was like 25 minutes ahead of me, and she went and stood on the start on the first line, and I was like, whoa, I mean, kudos to you.
Excellent.
I haven't got those bigger balls, so I think you've got this. But I was always like, in the first like 20K, I was like, anything can happen, because it's 100 miles, anything can happen. So so we stood there for ages, and they have to wait because they have to close the whole of SaintéLyon with the traffic to get these people out of the town. So he was waiting. So he'd say like 2 minutes to go, and he'd go, oh no, sorry, 5 minutes to go, we're still waiting on the route. I'll be like, oh my God, this is awful. But as I stood there, the 3 French guys who I'd run in with were right next to me, which is lovely. And they were like, right, we're going back in 9 hours, Eddie. And I was like, again, punchy.
Did they, I don't know if you're going to say this later, but did they do it in the 9 hours? Or?
No. So how the night unfolded was quite different. And the start went, and what a relief to get started again after waiting, like thinking, I got to do this. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this. The snow was so heavy, and there was no grit on the roads. So you run uphill for like 6K out SaintéLyon, and then you start going downhill again, and there's nothing on the roads but snow and sludge. And so people were trying to run on the sides and stuff. And that wasn't too bad on the roads. It was a bit slippy, but nothing too bad. And then the real race started. And I made a few errors. Now, I'm 48 hours post race that I keep waking up in the night, and I keep thinking about it during the day of You know, is it 999 with Michael Burke when they go like what started as a lovely day, and this is where Edwina made the fatal decision. Because I don't think I gave myself enough. I didn't go out hard enough. I was always mindful that it's such a long way to hold back. But I think I got too far back in the pack.
Okay.
And then we started going up into the eye of the storm. And the snow was so bad and the wind was so bad that it blew all the snow off the track. So it was just iced rocks. And then probably like 500, 600 people had already run over it. So there was just ice, ice. And then it was really, really narrow and I couldn't get past. For maybe like 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. It was probably longer. It was probably the hours of like 1 a.m. Quite soon, 12:30 until like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. It was on these tracks of just ice, people slipping, people falling. And I just lost it a bit. I lost the confidence in my trainers because I kept slipping and I kept twinging my hip flexors, and I thought the core started going, and I thought every time I slip, I was like couldn't pull myself back to control the slip.
It gets frustrating, doesn't it? As well? I
got so frustrated, but more, I got really frightened, and I don't know why I got so frightened. But I'd be like, I get to like really the pitchy like little drop down on the track. I'd be really icy, and people would have to be going right on the edge, like trying to find a bit of grass to go down. And I couldn't get the decision. Like I'd be like standing there going, how do I get down? I was like, it was definitely down to, I stopped fueling, my really good fueling all the way there. Then I just, middle of the night. And I stopped fueling the brain. And so it stopped making good decisions. And it told me, back off, slow down. And then I couldn't, every little climb and stuff, I couldn't get past people because of the ice. We were like just slipping back, and then your glutes start like cramping because you're 70 miles in.
Do you think again, if you could go again, if you've analysed it, would you still on the start line with the
I'm like, lady? Why didn't I back myself? If I'd known what was ahead and someone said you need to get ahead, you need to just hold the pain for 10k, but you're going to have snow on the rocks because it won't have blown off and people won't have trodden on it, and then you can go slower because you've got ahead. You can, but I was just too far back already.
It's like you say, if you know the course, I think Gothland Marathon, the Hardmoors people, if you get a good start, you get into the woods, it becomes really single track. And if you're competitive, then you need to put a wiggle. Same with Lakeland 100, before you hit that gate, you need to get a wiggle.
I think I made the decision at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to survive this. I'm going to survive this ice. I went round the corner and a girl had broken her leg as she gone round, and it was twisted underneath her, and there were people all around her. And it really, I was like, okay, I'm not going to, I couldn't be like, it's not that important that I have to call Bryn and go, I can't get out of this. We were in the middle of nowhere. It would have had to have been, ambulance people. I was like, I want my 5 points for UTMB, and I don't want to snap a ligament or something and not be able to, I made that decision. And now looking back on it, I'm like, you're such a pussy, Eddie. Why did you do that? But at the time, I was like, it seemed the right thing. Every corner, everything, people were sliding and slipping all over the place. And I had 2 or 3 hours where I just totally backed off. I was like, I couldn't get any grip on the ups. So I was just having to walk all the little bits of ups. The downs, I was like shoveling down like an old lady. And I didn't drink. I just
think it sounds like, apart from the eating and drinking, it sounds like you just calibrated. You've had a...
But then I was like, why did I let that? I don't know why. But I do think it was fueling as well. Yes, I was frightened, and I really didn't want to end up injuring myself. I'm a mum of 3. In some ways, it's easier if you're young and you can throw yourself down stuff, because I had to get up on Monday morning and take the kids to school. And I couldn't switch that bit off in my brain. I couldn't be like, and I know that other parents probably could, but I couldn't be like, if I saw one guy just fall smack and hit his head, and I was like, people could have died. People could have died. It was like, it was that dangerous.
And you've also got to think, the older I get, I often ask with training, I basically, risk versus reward. And sometimes, especially if all your goal was, I know you're competitive, but the 5 UTMB points. And sometimes if you push yourself and then you do slip, or even in training, if you do that session that maybe you've missed, so you end up doubling up a session, the risk against what you're going to get from that session, sometimes if it's too great, you just have to go with the flow and the time.
I think looking back, and I know I always do this with my athletes, I'm like, don't write your race report the first day after, let it all mull over, because you come up with something. And looking back, I'm like, really in the back of my brain, I was like, I want to finish. I want to finish this more than anything else, because I haven't run this far, you know, however many hours I was into this race, to slip and not finish this mother.
Yeah.
But I got a couple of stories to tell you, which were great and magical moments, because there's always some in hundreds. There's some epic lows, and the ice and the teetering on it was really a very low point, but there was hilarious moments as well. So there was the time when a guy, so you've got loads of people all the time running past you because you are going at 100-mile pace and people are going at 50-mile pace. But also there's relay runners that come in at every single checkpoint. So every 12K-ish where there's checkpoints, fresh legs, about 30 or 40 people. Excuse me. Oh, my life. So we had separate different color bibs on to everybody else. So you have like this actual... it's like what they wear for like riding competition, like where you wear a bib, like if you played football or hockey, you have everyone has those on. So on the way there, I just had it underneath my hydration vest, but on the way back I put it over, and I was like, I'm going to put this over so that people can see. Give me freaking kudos, actually.
You're a badass.
I'm a badass, but also I was like, when I'm like going down descents, they're going to give me some space, because I knew from doing the 80K before that the relay runners, especially the guys, they take no prisoners. They're only running 12K. They go, fair enough. But so I was really glad I did that. But a couple of things. One, a lot of the tiny little bits of up to get up sort of on the top of these, like, they're like chalky tracks, but bigger, chunkier stones. They were just, the wind had whipped all the snow off and they were so icy, people couldn't get up them. Oh, wow. And so people were like pulling people up, and I put my arm out as this girl came alongside me. And she was like, I pulled it up, and it was my one friend who I knew in the whole race doing the race. Her. And I was like, of all the people in all the towns, it was you. So that was awesome. At like 3:00 in the morning to speak English with, she's actually Dutch, but she was doing 78K, and that was just amazing. That probably the one time I helped someone, because obviously there was no help to anybody, that it was her that I put my hand out to. That was, I got quite emotional when that happened. And then a couple of K later, up one of these other little inclines, this guy started falling backwards. So he grabbed hold of me, pinned my arms to my side, and then he turned me round, and we started like sliding back down the hill. And I was like, pas moi, not... Why did you choose me of all the people? Because I can't help you. And now you dragged me back down this hill, Anyway. People were quite good, and there was a lot of knocks from people coming past. A lot of guys being obviously, and I was obviously really annoying to people, because down the descents, I would be holding, but I was like, you know what? You can just run past me. But there were bits where there was only one little bit, but I got some really knocks on the back of my head, knocks over, because it's hard, isn't it? Because everybody's running their own races, and Bryn was like, I think you might have been a bit sensitive, because a couple of times when I did see him, I was raging that guys were like just knocking me over. And I was a bit sensitive to being touched, especially after the ice turning incident when the guy grabbed me. But it was all for one and one for all. The last bit of ice talk, and then we'll talk about the end of the race. So probably the steepest descent, there was nothing, you couldn't go down the track. It was just all ice. And so you had to climb over a fence and go down in this field, but then you had to climb over the fence to come back in. So climbed over the fence. That was okay. Maybe I went underneath it, because I don't remember climbing over it. Went down the field and then realized I had to climb over it. It was like just wires. I can't get my, I can't get my leg up that high.
I don't like those kind of movements.
I touched the fence and it was blimmin' electric fence. I was like, what am I going to do to get over this? And so these two French guys came and they took the shocks for me and they pulled it down. And
oh my goodness. Were they like, just like,
well, you know, electric fence, it like pulses. So you can get it like, and it was so funny. Like literally they like held the fence down and these some other guys like just hauled me over it because I was like, I can't lift my hamstrings up that high. And also I've lost the ability to function to actually even work out the coordination that's going to require to get over this electric fence.
Yeah.
That was like when I was like, oh my life, this is just no. Anyway, I knew there was one last really terrible descent down into what was called St. Catherine, which was 40k into the way back. But the first 40k on the way back was the most technical. I mean, it's not technical in daylight and dry. It's just rocky trails, not what I would call, it's technical, but it's not like, it's not really tricky, but dark and icy, horrible. I knew there was this one more technical trail to go into this checkpoint where I was going to see Bryn, because I hadn't been able to see Bryn at the first two checkpoints because the snow was so bad that the cars, Bryn's got winter tires, but the cars, none of the other cars had winter tires. So there was cars everywhere. There was ambulances.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, I got down this last descent. I mean, it was not a proud moment, Gary. It was really terrible, but I knew, I was like, just get to the bottom, get into this checkpoint. Got to this checkpoint and, got into the checkpoint and then just went straight back out of it. And I was like, oh, wait, no, what do I need to do at this checkpoint? The other big thing about the race was on the way out, obviously there was less of us, so we could just go up to the tables and get drinks and snacks. Yeah. But on the way back, you could hardly even get to the tables because there were so many people.
Very busy.
And I think, Bryn said he didn't agree with me, but I think if you're doing a very long distance race, if you go to a checkpoint, if it's just the long distance race, people will look after you and be like, what do you want? Do you want your bottles? People would be sort of looking out for a distressed woman coming in that looked with wild, crazy hair that couldn't make any decisions herself. And of course, it wasn't that. You had to like wrestle to get your bottles refilled, to get anything. And I just was like, I just didn't have that power of, I felt myself slowly shrinking. Anyway, then I spotted the hot drink sign. And I was like, I don't know much right now. I don't know much. But I know I've seen people have hot drinks. Yeah. I was like, in my head, I was like, I know this is what I need. So I had a cup of Coke. And then on top of the Coke, I had this soup. I did drink the Coke first, but there was probably a bit left in the bottle. And then I had this cup of soup and a banana, and it did revive me somewhat.
Like a Mario power-up, was it?
And then we came off out of the roads were still quite icy, but I find an icy road, it was much easier, and they started gritting it as we came into a bit more civilization. And then I saw Bryn. Obviously there was a huge amount of whining, and then I just put my head down, and it eventually got to 20k to go, and I had stopped eating, which was was
that officially 20k or
this was officially 20k and the last checkpoint. So no, I digress, but I got to 20k to go where I saw Bryn. Probably for the first time I took my head torch off, it was like, must have been 8 o'clock in the morning, though it feels like you just have no idea what time of the day it is. And I thought, I'm going to tell him I don't think I can do this, because I know I'm going to do it, but I'm going to tell him I don't think I can do it, because I need him to tell me that I can do it. And so I went through the checkpoint, and then I came out and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to run 20. I felt so battered after that storm that I don't know. 20k just seemed like someone had saying to me, you've got to do it again. Yeah, it seems like I had a whole other race, which you haven't you? When you run 100, that last 20k is the race, basically, isn't it? Because it all comes down to that. And he was just like, do it. You can do it. It's kilometer by kilometer. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing. And he did say, actually, at the end, he said, I kept thinking when I saw you, when I was waiting for you at checkpoints, that you wouldn't go back out. You wouldn't go back out. But he said, every time I saw you, I'm going to stop crying.
Oh, indeed.
You were still running and you never stopped. I was like, it was so hard. But I was like, I have not trained my butt off to walk the last 20K, to not, every time there was, walk or hike, I was like, walk or run, I was like, run, because you can. So anyway, got to the last 20K. And I pulled out the old pre-Ironman, pre-kids iPod, which I still have. I charged it up and I'd seen there was like 7 hours of music on it and I didn't know what was on it. But because I couldn't use my phone because it was too cold and too much admin of getting a phone out and music. So I put on the iPod and the best tunes came on, some disco classics, and I was like, right, I've got to run, and there was a lot of running bits, and I had trail shoes on, and my poor feet were like, they were so bruised, and all I wanted was some Nike Vaporflies on my feet. But and I just put my head down. I was like, right, this is just going to be, I imagined myself in this box. It's like, I called it the shuffle box, and I was like, just get in it, shut the door, and just run. And so every little incline, people would start walking, and I'd be like, no, do not get out of the box. You keep running. And normally at the end of a long race, I'm overtaking all the guys. So I was overtaking all the guys, but they were all in the 78K. So that was quite cool, because they'd be like, oh, this woman has run double me. So that was quite, I just keep looking ahead and keep seeing these people. And last checkpoint, oh my God, this is possibly one of the lowest points of my life. You got to, it said 15K to go, whatever. And you had to run a K into the checkpoint and then turn around and run back.
Oh my God.
So you could see everybody running out. Like, oh, could you not just bring me, all I'm going to have is a cup of soup, cup of Coke, and half a banana. So just bring it here. Don't make me run that. Anyway, I did. And I gave myself a little treat, and I went for a wee on the Portaloo. And
is that the second wee?
Yes, that was the second wee. I know. And I sat on the Portaloo, and I was like, that was the only time I stopped. That was the only time I sat down in the whole race. Brilliant. Both legs, and I just sat on the Portaloo and thought, okay, you can give yourself a wee, and then you get up and you get out. And so as I got back on joined the train back out, and this man was like, oh, did you get lost, in French, shouting at me because you've already overtaken me once? And I was like, no, you're saying pee-pee. Piss off. I was just doing a wee. If you just told, I need to tell everybody. Again, the rage that was, and then it was literally the longest. I've heard people saying, but I've never actually really experienced it in any of the ultras that I've done. That the last, the last bits are the longest time they've been running. But that really was the sort of last 10K took everything. Focus. I literally couldn't think about anything apart from the steps, the movement, the keeping running, and it's really, really rolling. And there is some 2 big, really, really steep climbs into Lyon on the way back. And I live in a mountain, and they are steeper. They're like a black piste. They are so steep, short and steep. And after 95 miles of running, they were like, so I had 2 Haribo sweets at the end. I know, wild. And I was like, right, I'm going to have one of these for each of these climbs, even though there's like only 3K to go. But you still, when you've run that far, 3K and anything could happen.
It's like a race. And, if my watch beeps to say eat, and if it is like just 3 or 5K to go, and if I'm competitive, then I don't want 1K to go. And
I was like, you're not going to let yourself start the ugly crying until 3K to go. Yeah. So I was like, just get to that 3K. And when you get to 3K, you cross these bridges like right into the center of Lyon. And I was like, you can just. So I got to the 3K. I think it was 2K. You come down about 100 meters of steps, and I was clinging to the banister going, icy. This is the end, the icing on the cake, Freddie. And I got the 2K decided, and I was like, and the people were like, obviously, especially the relay runners that were just running 10K, were like, yeah, it's like, I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then they bring you all, and instead of going in where you start, they take you around the back of this big exhibition center to finish so that you come in the center. Anyway, I expected when I finished, I was like thinking about this arch that you run under, and I was like, I'm gonna get such, the guy on the microphone, he's gonna like go wild when I come in, and nobody even noticed. So like, it's like, I mean, there's lots of clapping, there's loads of lights flashing, and it's the most surreal out-of-body experience for anybody who's ever run like any of these big European races. They do really big finish, like there's music, and then, but you've been out like battered for however many hours, and then you stop, and there's like, and it's you, and then you just like, it's done.
Bizarre, isn't it?
It's just and it was done. And then the finish, which I don't think lots of people talk about, is that when you finish the so the prize giving was like an hour and a half after that, and poor Bryn, I mean, kudos to the man mountain of crewing through a snow, and the worry of like, your wife is up in this huge blizzard, there's ambulances, there's people falling, the people are coming down and saying, oh my God, it's down, and you're thinking, she's my little flower. And I have this disc on my back, which when I did Cape Wrath 3 years ago, which inflamed because I knocked it, and if I knock it swells and hits my nerve. And I think he was thinking, from when I have had the kids and epidurals and stuff, and he was thinking, if she falls on her back and this disc goes, we're a goner. And so he'd had a night, and then of course all the driving in the snow and trying to get to checkpoints where 1,000 other people were trying to get to.
Could you rest it all, or was he literally,
I said, did you, and I tried to, when I saw him, to go, have you eaten? Have you, take some rest? And on the way out, I was much better. On the way back, I'm afraid I literally had nothing to give to him. So we got to the finish, and then I was like, did you bring my bag? Because I packed a special bag for the finish. And he was like, no, it's in the car. So all my kit and everything. And I was like, can you, and he was like, it's like 30 minutes away. I was like, oh. So we had to sit for 2 hours in this to wait for the prize giving, and I still had my kit on. And we found like an old soft shell I'd given him, and then I had to go up on stage in front of all these people I was the only one like still in my stinking kit and this soft shell which I ski in, and it stinks. And as I was like standing next to this guy that's really famous in France, Trevor, and I was like, oh my God, I can smell my stuff in this. I was so, and of course you only sleep for like 2 days, and it was such a surreal experience. And then he was coming around with the microphone. I was like, oh my God, please don't ask me questions now in French, please. So I was like trying to hide, going, this is lovely, but can we please I just want to sit down. And I was like, does no one else just feel terrible? And then Bryn did say, it's like, you all looked like a little bit like sort of shell shocked. Like not really. Everyone was like, you were all just like kind of standing there. Of course the guy doing the mic and stuff and the pride, they don't have a clue that the people, the like absolute post-apocalypse zombies. Anyway, I didn't actually feel too bad. I just had really sore legs and huge dehydration issues. But anyway, that was it. I rambled on. That was it. I got my 5 points. I managed to successfully navigate my way through that race. I don't think it was I think the way out was a really good performance of mine. Really strong, really comfortable. I wish the way back was not my athletic ability at all. So the girl, I think she was an hour quicker than me on the way back, hour and a bit quicker than me, and she was only 20 minutes quicker than me on the way out.
Okay.
It wasn't a sign of where my athletic, but the way I think I was mentally like really, really tough. And like, I was never, ever not going to finish. I was never, ever going to stop. I was never going to give up. I didn't even, I just battled. And so I'm pleased with that. And I'm pleased with how I coped that last 20k, which was so painful that
I thought you moved well when I was looking at the splits. Yeah, obviously it was slower, but it wasn't like you walked the last 20 miles, is it? You were moving well. Right? There's no issues there.
I was moving, Gary. Let's say moving. Let's maybe take well out. And I'm trying not to. I'm getting through the grieving process of like, you should have gone out quicker. You should have carried on. You know, I pulled gels out of my bag at the end. I was like, you should have. Why did you take those gels?
Yeah.
The post race, you know, but I have learned so much about it, about myself. Bryn and I both learned so much about crewing. I loved it. I loved it. I loved being in that sort of terrible state. I was like, there's nowhere else I'd rather be like than listening to some terrible cheesy pop tunes, 140k, so like 85, 90 miles into a race, and all that training, all those hours, all that core work, all that swifting. Even though I was running at like 6:15, 6:20, 7-minute K pace, I was able to still move. And I was like, if I hadn't done all that, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And Eddie, previous 6 to 8 years earlier, wouldn't have. She might have been a bit faster, but she couldn't have done that. Yeah. She'd have stopped. She'd have been like, it's too hard. So in some ways it was brilliant because I'm like, my next race is going to be even harder, but I think if I can do that.
But that old person strength, Eddie, that's what happens.
I think it was the old person strength. It was the old person strength. And the girl, my friend who I pulled up the ice bank, who I then did see again at the last checkpoint on the out and back. And she was dying a death, and I was like, you don't stop, you keep running, because if I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do this. But she said, when I come up behind you, I was like, there's only one person that has that strong butt in France, that must be Eddie. And I was like, yes, you know it. So yeah, it was good, loads learnt, and I'm trying not to be disappointed in my return leg. I'm trying to pull the positives out of it, and it can only all be positive. And the biggest thing, the fact that even though it's that those 100 miles is so hard, that I just love being in that.
You enjoyed it.
I did, which is so weird, isn't it? And it's really hard to explain to like mums and dads at the school gate that are like, why would you do that? That you're like, you don't know, you can't put it into words, can you? Of that overcoming what seems enormous, and you think, I can't do that. It's too much for me. That you can. I think that's so big in life.
Yeah, I love a scary goal.
Scary goal. So,
your biggest takeaway though, you said you've learned loads. What do you reckon?
When you finish your, before you put soup in your disposable, before you put Coke back in, finish the soup, because it's really gross, Coke and soup mixed together. Yeah. I think a bit of self-belief would be probably my biggest thing, that I need to back myself a little bit more. But I think I'm still like, I'm really good over that 80k distance. I'm 100k, but going into that further. Yeah. I think the more you do, the more you think I can do it. Whereas probably all the way around, I was more on the like, I'm not sure I can do this, so I just need to keep a little bit back. Whereas I think now every time you do those, I guess, you're more experienced than me, the super long stuff, you kind of like, it's okay. I know this pain and I can hold this, and it's not
amazing. From the outside looking in, I would never say like, that was not weakness is the wrong word, but I would had 100% confidence in you. But then you were saying, maybe back myself a bit more. Yeah,
it's hard, isn't it? Because in my head, it was never like, you stop. When we heard about like, I listened to Holly talk about her Autumn 100 on Marathon Talk, and she was like, it was a total battle all the way. And she was like, I don't want to do it again because that was such battle. There wasn't that battle going on, because there was no voice saying stop. I felt sick or whatever. Yeah. I just dealt with it. It was more, I wish like everybody else goes, you can do it, Eddie. Yeah. and Bryn always says, control the controllables, and you can do it. Let the training do its work in the race. That's kind of the big thing that I learned, that actually I had a lot more. I didn't have a lot more to get in the last 2K, but I probably could have, a little bit more. But
you'll know in yourself, like all the work that you put in, the hours that you'll know come race day, if you're, say, suffering, then everybody else is too. And I think of that sometimes towards the back end of a race. It's like, I never ever think of stopping. That never comes in my head.
No.
It might not be a pretty finish, but there's, it won't stop. But I always think, well, if I'm struggling, probably 90% of the rest of this field is struggling too. So that
I think as well, it was really, really hard because there was only so many of us actually in that proper deep pain cave.
Yeah.
And there were so many not. I think a lot of them thought they were, like, you no idea. Whereas when you're in and I'm not, we were like, we're never going back to that race again. It's a brilliant race. I'd recommend it, but we're done with it. But I'm not going to do, my next 100 miler. Or if I get into Lavaredo, it's going to be everyone's in the same race and everybody's in the same boat. And I think that makes it much easier.
Is it too early to talk about what's next then? Have you got anything? You need your UTMB points?
And I've got my points, so I'll enter UTMB. I did think at the end.
Oh, so you have you've got all the points you need?
Yeah, I've got points now, so just need to get in the ballot. If I don't get in the ballot, there's lots. I will do another 100 miler. I'll just rejig my year. I will do another 100 miler of the same sort of with some big climbs and stuff, because I do think the experience is huge, and the more experience you can get into going to UTMB. I did think when I finished, so I finished at about 10ish the next day, so it was about 21 hours later, I reckon, with that stop. 22 hours later, I thought you'd be heading into another night. That is another adventure. That's another day. But
when I see these 200 milers, and part of me thinks, I think I've got the ability to do it, but that second night, it's like, and I suppose depending on when the race starts, it could be the third night. If they ever say maybe an evening start, then, because say Lakeland 100, for example, you run straight into the night. So yeah, that would be, I don't know if my legs, my quads would keep me going for 200 miles.
I think it's my brain. I really need to work, and I need to work on if anyone's got any tips for nighttime fueling. I felt really nauseous, and the thought of eating, it just didn't. And I know that's when you need to eat. And in my head, I was like, you need to eat, but I couldn't get my hand into my jacket to get the gel out. So anyone got any nighttime fueling tips, or how to keep yourself eating through the night? It would be interesting to hear.
I think it's great for our listeners to hear this, though. We've had elite level athletes, Elsie and yourself, so you're talking about eating, but say Elsie, I think she had accommodation issues, and you think sometimes these people just have it all sussed. Most people haven't got it all sussed.
Every day is a school day, isn't it, Gaza? Every day is a school day. So so the recovery has been epic. I think, Pride of Britain Awards, I think Britain needs one. So when we eventually got out of this hall and walked to the van, and then there was a huge amount of snow all the way back. Bryn hasn't slept either. And so we had to pull over after a couple of hours, like, I'm going to have a sleep before we drive back up the mountain, 50 centimeters of snow. And it took us about 3 hours to get what normally takes like 30 minutes. And my hamstrings were dying because I was like stuck in the car seat. I needed a wee, but I still had my running kit on, and I was like, I can't put trainers on. And the snow was like, I was like, there's nowhere to pull in. We can't stop. And poor Bryn was just like beyond himself. And then they hadn't cleared the roads. There was oh my God, it was epic. And so by the time we get home, but I tell you what, a big thing about my determination to finish was the thought of cut that bit where you get home and the fire was lit. Bryn's mum and dad had been looking after the kids, and so it had been amazing because they'd done everything in all the snow. And I was like, I can't go back without some sort of medal. But that feeling when you finish and you sit down and the cortisol slowly, the adrenaline goes down, you have a cup of tea and the fire's on. And my eyes were just like shutting, and I could hear the kids like talking, and grandma was giving them like fish fingers. And I was like, this is the best bit of my life, because no one's going to make me go back in that snowstorm.
Yeah.
I don't have to run again, but I've done it. And I just kept drifting in and out of sleep.
They're magic. They're really warm moments.
It's like a moment you'll never forget, that you're like, you've done something so epic and you can stop.
Yeah. I just love that ambient noise. The family's safe. Everyone's safe. Yeah. I do cherish those moments.
Yeah. So the come down's hard now, but it doesn't matter, because outside it's a winter wonderland.
Yes.
And I have just purchased some new skis, because post-race it's really important to keep morale up. You need that little. So I have just bought myself some, for those ski lovers out there want to know, some Atomic Backland Ultralights 78.
Ooh, okay.
They're really super fast. I am not going to be able to ski downhill on them at all. It's going to be hilarious. If you're coming to Morzine on holiday, give me a shout out and I will come and show you my terrible downhill skiing on matchsticks. But I'm feeling that stoked. The snow's coming, and I will now be able to, when
isn't it?
when I feel ready. This weekend we're going to ski with the kids, like normal skiing, like normal people, on chairlifts.
So next week's what we've been up to in the show will be turbo training and ski chat. No running.
Yeah, no running. Tune out, guys. Tune out till January now. I won't run at all now. Really, I don't think. For a few weeks, they can't.
That's a good tip again, listeners. If you're someone who's competitive, whether it's yourself against a PB, then enjoy this time.
Yeah, I think it's really important, and it's one of the ways as well I get myself to the finish, is that you're not going to run. You're not going to run for a couple of weeks. You don't need to. It's a really big thing for me, is that when you do a massive race, so I've got some parties lined up. I'm gonna drink some fizzy pop, Mary. I know.
I don't want any Facebook lives or something like.
What goes on in?
Got some show songs.
I'm gonna have some late nights. I'm gonna watch the James Bond film. I'm gonna do all the things. So that's another thing I do, is I get I'm like all these little things when I'm racing that I want to do, having known I've done it and I've earned that. So, and also I turn an epic 43. By the time this show goes out, I'll be 43.
Oh. There we go. Wow, Eddie, it's all happening. Literally.
So much happening. So there we go. I hope I haven't blathered on too much, people, about my race. And I hope I tried to give you a flavor of what it was like. Yeah. And I always want to be honest and say, because I always think slightly in these social media age and stuff that people can be a little bit, you can make it look really easy and don't ever tell you how hard these things are. And I think that's why many people don't finish as well, because they don't realize how hard and how deep you have to go in order to finish these terrible things. As my mum says, why do you put yourself through it? Why?
Well, you've been a great guest, Eddie. You can come on again.
You haven't done much.
I know.
You could have put a cardboard cutout of yourself and gone and had your lunch. I know, poor you. You told me you were starving, and that was like an hour ago.
Oh, my tummy's rumbling.
Okay.
It's okay.
We'll wrap it up. We could only find one race coming up. The Cheviot Goat, which is it's not just one race, it's a big race coming up. I think that's a Saturday the 4th, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not too sure actually what day. I think
Saturday.
it would be Saturday.
Saturday. Have you ever done this one, Gary?
No, I know the Cheviot's quite well, and it's not a race I would, with
your weather as well, it could be quite epic.
This is the problem with me. I've got no problem with running there. I running around that part of the country. It's just I don't want to be freezing cold. I really struggle with that. If anything gets me down pretty quick, is me being cold for too long. I tell you what,
a bit of kit. A kit chat. I purchased because Lindy, when she was a puppy, ate my beloved La Sportiva hail jacket, which I wore for years and years and years. She ate it. I know. I left dog biscuits in the pocket and she ate all up it wouldn't have passed kit check. So I did a bit of research and I bought, on Debbie Martin Consani's recommendation, the Montaigne spine jacket.
I remember you mentioned that, yeah.
And I wore it for the whole race. I wore it with a light layer underneath on the way out, and then I wore it with 24 layers on the way back, and I was never cold. I was never cold and I was never hot. It was amazing. I never got sweaty underneath it, and I'm a sweater. It was the perfect. It has a great hood. It has a great. I like a neck that you can do up to keep a nice high zip. The sleeves are it's so comfortable. The best bit. I mean, it was an investment, everybody. But if you're looking for, if you're going to be doing a big race with really bad conditions, the jacket, so important, so important.
I've got a new bit of kit. I might say actually, I got it from Northern Runner. The Ron Hill Hyper Chill.
Is it a gilet?
No. It's it looks like it does look like a gilet.
It's a gilet.
The only thing with Ron Hill for me is they only do smalls, and I wish it was an extra small. I like that kind of racier cut.
You like a racy
but
fit.
it's kind of padded at the front. It's got this double layer, and then it's got this kind of honeycomb inside, so it keeps a bit of air between you and the.
I think that must be like the spine one, because it must keep a bit of air going in to stop that sweat sticking on you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that. And what is wicked, actually, it's got like, can you see this on camera?
Oh, I love that.
It does that too. So you've got like a little, you can glove it.
Thumb through the sleeve.
Yeah, but then you can kind of give yourself a mitt too.
Or a puppet.
Yeah, or a puppet, yeah.
I think that's what Ron was probably thinking when he designed.
That's been wonderful, Eddie. I really super enjoyed listening to somebody when it really means so much to them. And obviously, you got a little bit of emotion.
I know I can get emotion with you. We can get emotion together. People expect it.
No, it was awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
What's up now? Just for you, just any more joggings? Yeah,
very light week, but I will ease off on the strength and conditioning. I'll probably do more mobility stuff, because I do notice you were saying about your disc, one of your discs. I'm prone to that too. So I'll just kind of keep that moving.
So important.
And I'll do my classic few mile at marathon pace, maybe tomorrow.
Can we talk about what that marathon pace might be? Are you going to set yourself up for?
The goals have been totally changed since COVID. I'm just going to treat it like London, really. I'm going to set off at 3-hour pace, and hopefully, I think, unless just have a bad day, that's the thing. With a marathon, at least I think a marathon more than any distance, when you're running at that speed for say 3 hours, it's not you can't take anything for granted. But yeah, we'll set off at that. Hopefully, that will be enough for good for age for London 2023.
Is that's what you're thinking?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So it's funny because you talked about backing yourself and stuff. It's too late. If I say, ultimately we chatted, I'd like to go 250, sub 250, and that's definitely not going to happen tomorrow. But maybe I should be aiming for say something like 254, something like that. But if I go off at 259 pace, I'm not going to make that up in the last 6 miles.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other, and I'm going to be cautious. I want to have a good time more than anything. Maybe the heat will play into it if it's kind of reaches 90 degrees or something, and that definitely will be taken into consideration. But yeah, super easy. I'll probably run my last one maybe Thursday morning. I'll do my 2 or 3 mile at marathon pace, and that is that. It's just lots of admin, watching the government website daily.
Life. Admin.
I'm not enjoying this. I'm not very. Luckily, Justin's a bit more on it than I and myself. So he keeps messaging me with, have you done this? Have you done that? And there's like a passenger location form. There's obviously, I've got to book these tests for coming back in. Spain could change. Spain could go on our red list. Spain itself might have the UK on. I
hope it doesn't change while you're out there.
Oh, wow.
And you have an expensive hotel quarantine.
I really do. Yeah, I don't know. Well, yes, we'll see. I can't afford it. I'm trying to buy a fence, and that's bloody wiping me out. £80 a metre for a fence at the moment.
Oh, hello. Oh.
That's everything taken away. So hopefully it's not fly tipped somewhere. Hopefully it's like responsibly.
It doesn't only appear on your 6 mile tempo run. There's a fence.
Me, imagine that. Literally, I know every inch of this area with all the running I do. So I would, no, I've been assured it's disposed of correctly.
Well, best of luck. We'll be tracking you OVS and whatever will be. And
best of luck to everyone in the Cheviot Goat too.
So we're going to do a Christmas Chia Charge goodies giveaway from when this is going out on the 3rd of December to the 13th of December. So you've got 10 days to send us your winter running pictures. We do pictures because we love them. We love them. And then I get loads of Facebook alerts of all these wonderful things. So send us, it doesn't have to be recent, Nope. We're not judgy. Just
my
send us.
timeline was flooded with snowy pics over the weekend. But yeah, it doesn't have to be recent. And
you guys, you don't know. You not been there. I give you some rubber snow.
I'll show you snow.
I show you some snow.
You're gonna pick two?
Say again?
You're gonna pick two. You pick a favorite, and I'll pick a favorite.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that, and you will then get a Chia Charge goodie bag. Oh, maybe even before Christmas if Mr. Posty is on it. Let's see. So, send us a picture you running, or maybe just a beautiful winter scene that you've taken where you're out running.
I do like pet pictures.
Doggy in the snow, Rex in the snow. I'll put a post in Facebook. Please just post your pictures on the Facebook post. Otherwise, it's too much for me and Gary. Too much, especially for Eddie right now. Jeez. Just post them on that Facebook post.
You can tell I've had to carry it all through this show, listeners. I think you've talked more than ever.
I really relived it. I feel it's quite cathartic. It was like a sort of like therapy session.
Eddie, you never guess what?
What, Gary?
We've had a 5-star review.
Stop it. And we've never asked for one.
No, we don't ask. That'll be
no, that'd be awkward.
Cringe. If you imagine that, asking for a 5-star review. But anyway, Deborah Jeffries. I know Deborah. She's a trail harrier and very active in our community. So thanks, Deb. But she's been a very bad trail runner. That's not true, Deborah. And fell behind massively with the podcast for the past few weeks. She's been binge listening, which is almost up to date, which means waiting real time. We've got emojis too in this. This is a great one. I love the chat between Gary and Eddie. I've learned so much from you both. Kids, poles, and fuel. I feel like you cover everything I need in trail running. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm so good with the ugly bits. Oh my goodness. Thanks so much for encouraging me to dig deep and believe in myself without knowing it. You are amazing. Tim and Chia Charge are so lucky to have you at the helm. My goodness me, I couldn't have scripted that.
Much.
That is amazing.
But I might print that off and just put it by my bedside table when I wake up. See that?
That is awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much for that.
So yeah, if you like the show, please like, share and subscribe. Head over to our YouTube channel. Give us a follow or a subscribe over there. We're also on Instagram, Facebook. We've got a very active group full of lovely people. So yeah, head over to one of those outlets and follow us there. I think that was episode 66. Thanks for listening. My name's Gary Thwaites.
I'm Eddie Sutton.
And let's run to the hills.